You just never know where I'll show up next. I am in Copenhagen, the great old city, Nordic lands. This is the Copenhagen Canal, which leads directly into the Atlantic Ocean. And I'm here doing support for a Sony event that will happen this week. I wanted to take this opportunity because I'd never had downtime with the new 400mm lens. And so what I thought I would do is kind of show you what's in the case, how it comes out, what comes with it, kind of stuff like that, and also some things that don't come with it. So let's go. This is the brand new case for the brand new 400mm G Master 2.8 lens. It's kind of typical of what Canon and Nikon have been making, but I like the rounded corners and that it's all plastic instead of having those big metal cleats everywhere, because they bang my shins like crazy. So it's a little bit lighter, slightly smaller, because it's a smaller lens than any other 400-2.8 that's ever been made to date. And so everything is kind of smaller than what you'd normally expect, which is great because that's what we expect from Sony. So let's open it up. There's two locks, two different latches. And inside we have the 400GM lens. There's also two teleconverters in here. They don't come with the lens, unfortunately, even for $12,000 US. But it's really nice that Sony thought about the teleconverters because each one has a specific spot. This one's deeper for the 2X. This one's a little bit more shallow for the 1.4. So it's really convenient that if you're going to ship this thing someplace, you'd ship it with the converters so everything stays together, which I really, really like. Okay, so there's a Velcro strap here that kind of holds the lens in, which is very useful because you don't want the thing moving around at all. And what I'm going to do is just reach in and lift her out. Now, it's so small. I got to do this because it's so lightweight. Those of you that are Canon and Nikon people, try this at home. But anyway, the lens comes, as you'd expect, with this protective cover, which you just un-Velcro that, and then this comes off. This, again, is fairly typical. This is a very hard stop, yet a little bit flexible cover that protects the front element as well as this edge. And this edge, as we know, those of us that are sports photographers and nature people, this thing gets dented really easily. This one's noticeably thinner than anything I've ever seen in a Canon and Nikon offering. But there you have it. But this is a very important shipping item, and even if you're going to use this lens in a backpack, I would recommend always using this protective cover. It doesn't weigh much and it's not that much extra time to protect that front element. So we're going to pull the lens shade off. This is a carbon fiber lens shade, just like everybody else's at this point. And I always like to put mine on straight up and down where I line it up with the plate, so I'm centered with the plate. And so there you have the lens in all its glory with the lens shade attached. And then of course this protective cover goes right back into the case so you don't lose it, and then you'd close the case up and then go on from there. This is also the strap that comes with the 400G Master, which is very nice. It's really heavy. It's made to be carried very easily. You've probably seen people on YouTube carrying the lens around. There's very, very nice strong eyelets here that you can put that into, and it's really good to go. So I really like that feature that, you know, this is a lens you actually carry, whereas the previous 400-2.8s, they're so heavy that it's very prohibitive to do that. Typically that's what you find inside the lens case for the new 400G Master 2.8 lens. Again, love the pockets for the teleconverters. Thank you, Sony, for doing that. That's really, really good. And when you close this up, even with the teleconverters inside, it's very light, which I really like. One other thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to point out this monopod. This monopod is a Sony P326. This is kind of my preferred monopod. Now, I've been a big Gitzo guy all my life. My whole career I've been using Gitzo, and Gitzo makes a great product. But this Sony, this company is really making nice stuff. This is such a tiny, tiny little thing. It'll pack inside of small bags. And because the new 400GM lens is so lightweight, I really prefer this to any other monopod. And it goes the same distance as any other typical monopod does. It'll go, you know, higher than I can see through the lens. but it does it where, you know, that's here and it just amends the lens here, so the camera be up here. So I really like this monopod. It's very lightweight and they're only $100. So I'd really recommend, if you're, you know, if you're going to get this lens and you've been using 400-2.8 forever, like I have, you can get away with much smaller, lighter weight monopods because you're frankly not carrying the same weight anymore that you'd expect to have with a 400-2.8. One last thing I'd like to point out too is that a lot of people miss this, but in typical fashion, Sony has done the right thing by putting 2 different 1/4-20 taps into the bottom of the foot and 1 3/8, is great. So when you can use a bigger thread, it's always better. So I always use this center one, and it's a really, really nice way to go. And you put that thing on there and it's not coming off. And because the last thing you want to do is have that thing come off.